started back two previous boards, and we were able to, assist in that endeavor there. Because like I said, it was a huge undertaking, and I'm very excited that they received that accreditation. And again, that will only enable us to be able to see some of the improvements to our Parks and Rec system. It will now include a lot of the ADA requirements that we would like to see. So I'm very excited about that, and congratulations to Monica and her staff. All right. The next I'd like to do, we're going to probably have this on our agenda for the next year. And I wish Michelle was here. She did send us all some emails, but the next item agenda will be LMT project updates. So because Parks and Rec, for many reasons, not only did they get this accreditation, they have this great plan in place, but even funds from the SOAR system have enabled some of these projects to begin sooner than later. Okay, so we're going to be very busy in the next year working with them. Obviously, they come up with the plans, but I would like to see us, and like I said, Michelle has already reached out, but in every project that they do, it's really going to be important for us to be involved. So, even though we made our plans, in the planning process, we made everything known that we would like to see enhancements made. We don't want to let the ball drop, and then when they go to do projects, that we're not involved in those. So I'm just going to start with a few. If anybody's interested, you might want to watch the Parks and Rec board meeting that occurred last night. And Monica did a great presentation, PowerPoint presentation that explained a lot more detail, maybe the timing of it, how much money they have allocated to do these projects. So I'm going to go ahead and go over some of those that they discussed. So the first was, or not the first, but one of them was the path from the community center to the pool. And if anybody attended, Community Day, you saw the construction going on of the walking path that's kind of joining everything, the pool to the library to Keola Fields and all that. So, we don't really have to review anything on that, but they did give an update that I guess Monica wasn't aware, maybe somebody was aware, but to get the ADA cutouts, you have to get, I guess, approval, and the approval process takes weeks. So you're going to see you'll see the paving going on shortly, but the ADA cutouts will not be started until we receive approval from, I don't know if it's the state. I think maybe the state has to give approval. And that's the big one, when it's crossing at the light and there's that really steep hill from the community center over to the playground. So again, they will be making the ADA compliant transitions from the sidewalks to, the across the roads, but they have to wait for approval. So that was just something, I don't think they were expecting that it was going to take that long. So that's the first update. The second is, and I want to keep on this, I didn't realize they were doing a Makefield assessment. So we had made a lot of suggestions just from the standpoint of, some parking spots, obviously the bathrooms, making that more accessible. But it looks like they're doing a whole plan for Mackles. I think it's more for traffic studies. Maybe, if any of you have kids now or grandkids that play down there, that the traffic patterns there are not ideal. So I don't know if they're just assessing that or if they're assessing more than that. So we just, again, want to keep on top of that, and we'll make sure Monica keeps us included in that process. The third one is, I think they're going to start fairly soon, is the Skylar tennis courts. And again, not a lot, we had assessed it during the ADA transition plan in the accreditation process. And we just made some notes about handicap parking, but we want to make sure that, the gate going into the tennis courts is easily opened and closed, and it's a smooth transition. So again, they are redoing the entire tennis courts because I guess it's in much disrepair. So that will be taken care of. But again, we just want to make sure that everything that we had put into our report does get completed at that time that they're doing all of these enhancements. So that will be the tennis courts that we'll keep on our agenda, to follow up on all this. The next project was Veterans Park. So that we had kind of put on the back burner because I had said in a previous meeting that I think the veterans were coming up with a design. They were going to add a stage. They're going to add a pavilion. So they're making some enhancements to the Veterans Park. And Monica, I think, just received that, and she will be making her comments. I think the pavilion or the stage is far, off into the grass area. And she knows that we would make a comment that it would have to be obviously accessible for all to maybe go out to the pavilion. So I don't know if they have plans to move that closer, make it, closer to the playground and keep everything kind of accessible. So we're really going to have to look at that once the final plans are submitted. So they did submit what they would like to see in the park, but maybe the placement of it might change depending upon some of our comments and Monica's comments. So again, this is all, all in the process, but I think it's supposed to be in the next year. So that's why we want to make sure we're in on the beginning design phase. The next is we discussed the shade for the playground up at Memorial Park, the Secret Garden, all-inclusive playground. So they're going to, repave. Obviously, they have to do the replacement of the surface, which that's scheduled every 10 years. And at the same time, they want to do the shade because, you have to pour around that. So I had sent her some of one of mine, I should say mine, because you guys weren't on the board previously when we did the park, but there's some really tremendous shade structures that look like flowers. So it goes perfect with the garden of reflection, the Secret Garden theme. I know they're very, very expensive. So she did have a picture of it for the Parks and Rec Board yesterday at the board meeting. I think what my recommendation would be is I had envisioned right in the center of the playground, it used to be a tree, and the tree died because it's in the middle of all that poured surface. And I don't think it got enough water, and it was a dirty tree. Every time the leaves would fall or something would fall, it would land on the surface and it really wouldn't be good. So now it's just been bare. So I was thinking maybe you put something like that, just one piece in the center, and it would look like a flower or a tree instead of a real tree that cannot grow there. And then maybe they would do other things like shade sails, those big triangular shade sails that you see at many parks. So I think that's probably the way to go, because I don't think those flowers probably cost $30,000 a piece or something. So it wouldn't be feasible to do that. So I think I'm going to reach out to her and see what we can do to maybe assist with that, with the shade for that. And again, that probably won't happen until maybe before next summer. But we definitely have to get pricing and, what would be the best design up there. The next one I noticed that they spoke about last night was the pool. They're doing some renovations, and I noticed on there was bathroom renovations. So I think we want to make sure that we stay included in that and look at the plans that would be submitted and any comments. And again, nowadays, most engineers, most architects, they're going to put ADA, they're going to be ADA compliant. What we want to look at, is there anything more besides the minimum that you could do? Is there something else that we can think of that might enhance it even more, not with a lot of cost? So again, we will want to take a look at those plans as they become available. And I don't think again, none of these have plans yet. The only other project that from last time was the admin building, the lower level. I'm not sure what is going on with that, and I haven't reached out to anybody on that. So we'll see if that has been started. And I think that's it, but that's a lot. That's a lot going on in the next year. So as we receive plans on that, we can all have a chance to take a look at those. We can make our comments, and you know, we're happy to work with Parks and Rec and you know, assist in any way. Does anyone have any comments on that? On any of the upcoming projects that LMT is working on, Parks and Rec? All right, so the next is the recap of events that we have attended. So since our last meeting, Michelle and I both volunteered for the 5K Anyway Run. Again, that's money that's raised for the ADA transition plan. It's put into a separate pot. It was well attended. It wasn't as crowded as the previous year, but there were about over 100 people registered. But you know, the people that showed up, they had a blast. It's a shame, you know, we do have an opening for anybody out there in the public. We do have an alternate position open on our board. And it was funny because a couple people did come up and they're like, oh, we're interested in joining your board. And then as we started talking, we realized they lived in Langhorne, you know. So you have to live in LMT to join the LMT board, you know, one of the boards on LMT. And so they were very disappointed because, you know, Langhorne, a lot of places do not have disability advisory boards anymore. So I thought, I'm like, oh shoot, you don't live in our, you know, our community, so you can't join. So there are people out there. So I'll just make a public announcement that we do have a position open as alternate. So if anyone's interested, you know, please send your resume to the township for review. And then the next one was Community Day. It was on August 27th, a Sunday. And I thought that was very well run. I give the Parks and Rec board a lot of credit for making a fantastic day. I feel like, you know, I'm always happy that we attend. Maybe we have a few people stop by our table, but I think the people that do stop by are interested in hearing, you know, what we do and pick up a brochure. And I think it just, you know, it's just community awareness, and that's really all that we're there for. I think it's a great way to just let people know that we exist. You know, even just seeing our banner and somebody walks over and says, we didn't know you were in our community. So thank you. Lynn helped with that, and Cynthia helped with that, and Michelle. So we were all kind of there, and I think it was nice meeting everyone in person finally. With COVID, we haven't really had any in-person meetings, so it was kind of nice. Lynn, Cynthia, do you have anything? Would you like to add anything about the community day? Anything you think we could do differently? Or I'm going to fill out a form. The Parks and Rec sent out a form to ask, you know, our opinion on if we could enhance anything or what we'd like to see next year. Anything that you can think of that would be helpful?
No, I thought the tables were well placed. I was happy that we were kind of in the front so that the people went around, they could have first. I was hoping that more people would have stopped and asked questions. No, I just have that.
And you're breaking up. You're breaking up. So can you go ahead? It's like reverberating. It's like.
I didn't have that. You can't hear me. It's probably because he's in the kitchen.
Yeah. I hear two of you, like you're echoing. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Lynn. I think Al.
Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. I did have a few people stop and ask us questions, and they did take the pamphlets. I think what we had out on our table was fabulous. You had books out there, you had our pamphlets out there, you had our banner, and you know, I just thought it was well set up.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm glad we attended. I agree. Yeah. Cynthia, anything that you would recommend? I don't know if she's speaking. Unmute yourself.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking if there was any kind of swag that we could provide. You know, some places give balloons and stuff,
Yeah.
but it should be something appropriate for disability. I'm going to give it some thought. Maybe,
Okay, yeah,
maybe I'll
great.
come up with a good
You,
idea.
you have a
Yeah.
year. You have a year.
Okay. Okay.
The one thing I am going to bring up, I felt that it was a little too spread out for some some people that have limitations. I don't think they got all the way out to the food trucks. There's no way they got out to the information booth that LMT had. I think they've gotten that from vendors, because I don't think a lot of people walk down, and we didn't mind because we were at the front, but I know vendors pay, to attend, hoping they can, sell their products. So I think people didn't walk all the way down towards the tennis court area where some of the vendors were. So I think they will have plans to maybe consolidate a few things to make it a little bit easier. So that would be, and the only thing I'm going to bring up, because I know 10 years ago when we did it, I found it very nice that when all the LMT volunteer groups were all in one section. So maybe the environmental council was next to us, and 5 Mile Woods, and then the historical, community, the farmland preservation. So when people came, the LMT people, they're like, oh, wow, LMT has a lot of, clubs, or not clubs, but organizations or committees and boards I didn't realize. So we would all be kind of grouped together. And I just thought that might, I don't know, just bring more awareness to how much LMT the volunteers do, and the tables they can kind of walk around. So maybe separate us out from the vendors and give the vendors, you go over here to buy your, jewelry and everything. And then over here, you're learning about the community. So that's the only thing I was going to write, that maybe, there's a lot of camaraderie too amongst us. I talked to 5 Mile Woods, people, and how we did the assessment there. So I think it does bring camaraderie, to all of us. We get to know each other on the other boards and help each other out if we can. So that was the only comment that I'm really, going to express to them. All right. The next item we have the sensory kits. I did email Tim Chamberlain. He's the new position at LMT for fire prevention. So I didn't hear back to him, but I only probably emailed him maybe a week ago. So I'll wait to hear from him. So I'll give any updates on that. The webpage, we'll talk about that in a minute. The email, I went to check it and realized that they had changed it, because they are changing a lot of stuff with the website, but we now need an Okta secure code, which is just a second layer of security. And they didn't, give it to me, and the person that's doing it is on vacation. So I'm waiting to get a secure Okta sign on, and they'll have to set me up. So if anybody's emailed dab.org, I haven't responded because I can't get on it. Lynn and I had spoke about the web page. So Lynn, do you want to talk about that? What we maybe are going to wait?
Yeah, I think we're up the point where I believe that the committee has received a draft of some of the sites that we put together, and I was also asked to put together by Lisa a table of contents, which I did do. And the last time we spoke, I believe they were updating the total web page for LMT. So I did as much as I could at this point without having the webmaster, is that what it's called? The webmaster put our page together.
Okay, yeah, I think we're in a position where once they do that, we'll be able to submit what we would like to see, and have that, but they really have to do some of the links the way that we want to do it. Yeah, so we want to be able to create that table of contents that Lynn has created, and then somebody can go click on it. So if you're interested in something about children, or something about aging, or seniors, or taxes, or transportation, all of that, you'll just be able to click on that link, and it'll bring you to all of her suggested, community links. So,
and I'll just add one more thing about a comment about an endorsement of some of these sites that I had found. You know, it's just resources that I had found that are out there. Not saying that I endorse those websites or anybody on, it's up to anybody on the committee, whether they endorse them or not. It's just resources that I found and I put together to be put on our webpage. So I'm not sure if we're going to need a statement or not on the webpage as
Yeah,
well.
we could just say it's, you know, we don't endorse any particular one. These are just for your reference. I think that would probably be enough. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Michelle was going to discuss the building plan reviews. She did reach out to Jim Majewski, and he did send some links. So I'll just go over Prickett Preserve. There are plans for us to review for apartments, and we do have the link for that. So if anybody's interested in also looking at those, there are some apartments that have bathtubs, but there are some with showers, walk-in showers only. But I still would like to take a look at the number of apartments. So that would be something that I would be, if anybody's reviewing this, you know, I'd like to see the number of apartments. You know, do they have doorways that are definitely 36 inches wide, enough for a wheelchair to get through, in those units that maybe have, you know, he said showers. So I want to take a look at, are any of them walk-in showers, not with a lip? So, you know, just what do you call it? You know, without the bottom lip there. And I don't know how detailed it is, if it has, you know, handicap parking spots already in the plans, or if that's a separate plan, you know, with striping. So we'll take a look at that. Things that we look at that, again, the engineers and the architects really have, you know, all the ADA in compliance, but even little things like, you know, do they have strobe? Do they always have strobe lights or strobe fire? You know, some of these apartments that are for handicap, do they have strobe for someone that might be blind, or I'm sorry, hearing impaired? So these are just things that, you know, the little extras that we might want to take a look at and recommend. So we can look at that. And then I think he also said that the CVS plans will be coming over next week. So we can take a look at the CVS plans, but, you know, CVS, they have their model. And again, I'm sure everything, but, you know, we just want to take a look and see what they have. And what was the other thing for
The giant restripping?
Yeah, but at Prickett, I think there was something else. Yeah, I don't know what the process is as far as, I know the historical board is looking at the restaurant, like I think they're still coming up with the plans for the outside of the restaurant. So maybe we'll get those plans.
Oh, CVS.
Yeah. CVS is in Prickett Preserve. Yeah, that's all part of Prickett Preserve. Yeah. The giant restriping, I didn't get up there, but when I emailed the person in charge of the management company, he said that half was completed and they will be doing the other half this week. So I'll just take a ride up there and hopefully, you know, that's all taken care of. So like I said, we have a lot going on as far as, you know, activity, but it's just more for our review, take a look at, we can make comments as they come available. I think that's all. Yeah, that's all that's going on for now. The new business. Does anyone have any additional questions, comments, new business, anything to add, anything you want us to happen before the end of the year? We're all good?
All good.
All right. So I think with that, we have a decision. Our next meeting is scheduled for October 12th. And I guess usually we don't meet in December. And then we meet in January for a reorganization meeting. So my thought was maybe instead of meeting October and November, maybe we just meet November, because then we won't be meeting in December. So
Yes.
if everyone is good with that, I don't know what dates yet, because, you know, Katie comes up with the schedule. Obviously it'll be, you know, probably the first 2 weeks in November, so it won't conflict with Thanksgiving. And so if everybody is okay with that, we'll cancel the October 12th meeting. And then we'll go ahead and meet in November when we get some dates from Katie. Does that
Perfect.
sound good? Okay. All right. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move.
All right, Lynn. I have a second.
Second.
I'll second.
Cynthia can
Go
second.
second.
All right. And all in favor? Aye. And everyone have a great
Aye.
Have a great
You too.
rest of September and October, and see you in November. But we'll have lots of things to review in between, though. We'll send the links
Okay.
for everyone to
Okay.
review. Okay. Have a great night.
Thanks, Lee.
Bye-bye.
Bye.